Welcome to the Turning Lemons into Lemonade podcast. Each week, your host, Amy Mewborn, business strategist and advisor, will bring you the stories of how successful women entrepreneurs turn their tragedies into triumphs to create the businesses that are changing the world today. And now, your host, Amy Mewborn.
Janneke den Draak is a trainer for Dragon speech recognition software. She helps people who'd rather dictate their texts by voice than type. Over 20 years ago, Janneke got severe repetitive strain injury and became an expert at using Dragon by necessity. She used Dragon for dictation and also to operate her entire computer by voice. By now, she's helped over 1,000 people regain their own productivity with Dragon. Janneke hails from the Netherlands and she's married. She prefers wearing hiking boots over high heels, which she doesn't even own a single pair of. Welcome, Janneke. Thank you so much for being here. I would like you to start today by telling us, how did you get started in your business?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And how I got started in my business is basically because I got fired. So I'm a totally accidental entrepreneur. My business, or the company where I worked, had been in dire straits for a while. And they just canceled every speech recognition trainer they had. And they stopped all three of us were fired. Yeah, so that wasn't good. And I didn't know what else to do, so I tried to, start my own business as a speech recognition expert and trainer. And that's how I got started.
That's amazing. Actually, yesterday I was interviewing Leanna Smith, and she said exactly the same thing. She said, she got started in her business basically as one day she had a job with a large company, and she started hearing through the grapevine that they were going to be letting all of their people in various departments go. And, it's amazing how sometimes our business ideas come literally out of necessity.
Yeah. And I must say, I'd never pictured myself as an entrepreneur, never, ever in my life. But you know what? It suits me. It turns out it was quite a good thing, actually.
Good for you. And sometimes it's scary to get pushed out of the nest. So
sometimes it's necessary to get pushed out of the nest in order to, to get to a new level or whatever. Yeah. I think that's definitely what happened to me. Yeah.
So what has been one of the struggles that you've had as an entrepreneur?
Well, first of all, just, getting used to the idea of being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I was kind of lucky when I got fired that, the company didn't continue with their speech recognition training services. So there wasn't an issue with me taking over clients. Mm-hmm. And I was lucky because some of the clients went with me. And I had a bit of a fast start in that regard. Awesome. But there still needed a lot to be done. And I had to do negotiations about, my fees and whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was a very stressful time for me. I wasn't used to that at all. Sure. Yeah.
That is, I think, one of the biggest struggles for especially beginning entrepreneurs is, how do you price your services? How do you make sure that your pricing is fair? If a client gives you pushback on your pricing, are you willing to negotiate it? How does that look?
Yes. Oh, man, I got loads of stress from that. I wasn't prepared for that, to be honest. No, but I had no choice. So, I survived. Yeah, I'm still here after 8 years.
That's awesome. 8 years. Good.
8 years. Yes. April 1st. Yeah. 2010. That's when I started.
Congratulations. You just celebrated an 8-year anniversary. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, they always say that 3 years is kind of the magical number. And I chuckle at that because I think that a lot of times, it's discounted the fact that business is still hard sometimes in year 5 and year 8. But a lot of times, if you've made it till 8 years, you've kind of at least figured out some of the stuff that make you and your business you. And then
Yes.
how you're gonna show up in the world.
Yes, and it wasn't the easiest of times because 2010. I mean, it was still quite a bit of recession going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of lucky, and somehow I managed, to get over that time, and afterwards it became easier. Yeah.
So one of the questions that I always ask is, tell me about the worst day in your business. And I know that in your case, your worst day is kind of what led you to what you now do. So it was before your business, but tell us that story.
Yeah, sure. So I'm 49 now. I was 28, and I actually got declared a disability for my own work because of severe repetitive strain injury issues. I used to work in the ICT. I was a network engineer, and but I wasn't. My body couldn't handle the mousing and the keyboarding and entire days after at the desk, and I just got pain in my arms. And I went to the doctor, and they said, we don't know. It looks a bit like a tennis elbow, but then like different. And basically, they couldn't help me, and I was sick leave for quite a while, and then I was tested, and they said, well, basically you can no longer do this work. So I was 28 years old, and I was told your career is finished. Wow. And I couldn't do any computer work, and I couldn't even fill shelves in the supermarket because those arms, they weren't working, and I didn't know what to do. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be a miracle if I could just talk to the computer and it would do what I say? And there wasn't even Google yet. So it was a long time ago, like in the previous century. And I started, Alta Vista or whatever was the search engine that was going on at that time. And I heard talking to your computer. And I was, and it existed, but not in Dutch. I'm Dutch. I didn't even tell, but I'm Dutch, and it was in English, and but I purchased it anyway. I purchased a new computer because it's a bit of a resources hog, that Dragon, and and that's how I got very good at using speech recognition software. And sometime later, I got a job as a speech recognition consultant and trainer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that when you went searching, Dragon was around back then?
Dragon was around back then. Dragon, naturally speaking, was the first edition was in 1997.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. My dad, actually, we got him Dragon a couple of years ago because he was doing a few courses, and he does not like to sit down on his computer and type. So it's something that he really loved, and he did it out of desire, not necessarily necessity.
Yeah. But there's plenty of people who do it for, productivity, because you get, even if you're a reasonably competent typist, you get like 40, 50 words a minute. And with Dragon, you can go up to 100, 120 words a minute. So it can triple your text entry, basically. Yeah.
I think also one of the things that I love about dictation software is that we tend to speak in a certain way, and we don't necessarily write in that same way. So if you're doing marketing materials or blog posts or creating content in any way as an entrepreneur, and you're looking for a really good way to get your message in your brand voice to translate, I think a really good way to do that is through dictation.
Yes. On the other hand, if you want to have good results with dictation, you need to do your punctuation. You need to say it. Otherwise, so it's very difficult to have it and totally natural and also get good results, because just speaking will not render good recognition results. You really need to have you need to dictate. You can't just talk. It's a bit different. Yeah. So so I've had some clients who had, one was a lawyer, And he said, well, I get compliments now for my pieces that I write because they are so much more easy to read. Because he was like more conversational in his pieces. And so he got compliments when he started using Dragon because his style changed for the better. And then I also talked to a journalist, and he said, well, the editor is sending all my pieces back because they are too long. I have too much conversation. So it can work either way.
Sure. Yeah. I love that. So tell me, what do you consider to be your secret sauce? What do you do differently that other people don't do?
Well, I've developed, for now in the Netherlands and shortly also internationally, an online course and membership environment for people who want to learn to use Dragon, where I have an online course with exercises and stuff like that. And that's quite unique. And I'm very proud of my Dutch creation. I shouldn't say so, but I am. And especially in the Netherlands, where membership sites isn't a huge thing yet. But I'm so looking forward to also rolling that out internationally. And I think, I've been doing this for over 20 years as a user, and now as a trainer for almost 20 years. And I'm still super excited about Dragon and what it can do and how it can help people, whether they want to be more productive or whether they just don't like typing or whether they have totally no functional hands at all and they're totally dependent on their voice for using their computers. So I think I bring that energy in any contact that I have with clients, whether it's online or in my videos. Well, that's a bit harder though, I must say. but certainly when I am in a conversation, I bring a certain energy, and I think that I've just got the best profession in the world, and people see that. Yeah,
that's great. So tell me, what would you say your favorite business book is?
My favorite business book. Right. So one of the books that I read that was a good kick in the behind for me was actually The Slight Edge. I think it was, oh goodness. Well, I can't remember the author's name, but it's called The Slight Edge, and it is about, it's a bit like The Compound Effect. Do you know that book? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it's the same principle, like how your small improvements over time will give you huge results because of the compound effect. But I think the main lesson I learned from that was that it also works the other way. So if you decide not to do something today because you can do it tomorrow, it will eventually bring you down.
Yeah.
And that is, that was a good lesson for me. I needed to hear that at that point in time.
It's funny you say that, because I have said for years I owned multiple fitness studios, and I always described the fact that I felt like, as women in particular, we're either in an upward spiral or a downward spiral. And we're either making a few good decisions that are really amplifying the quality of our life.
Yes.
Or we start making a few bad decisions and we fall off the workout wagon, or we start sleeping later, or we start drinking more, or any other number of things that just are not great for our physical, emotional, or mental well-being.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It is. Yeah.
And it's in life and business. It's, it's something that you can have the discipline to get up and do the tasks that you need to do to move the balls forward. Mm-hmm. Or you can push them off till tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then you wonder why there's no money in the bank account.
Yeah, yeah. It's but also it makes you less as a human. I believe in growth. Mm-hmm. I believe in. I've got a broad interest. I mean, I love gardening. I like my pets. I go hiking in nature. I sing in a classical choir. It's hugely varied. And I'll read anything about any subject that interests me. And I think that that's a good thing, because it expands your mind. And when you stop growing, you just, slowly die. I don't know.
I completely agree. One of my sayings is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's exactly true, because you see it in people that retire. All of a sudden they stop doing a lot of the things that made them them.
Yes.
Historically, I believe statistically, you would find that men in particular, as they start retiring, especially if it's later in life, that the quality of life diminishes quite rapidly. So, yeah.
That's true. I've heard the same thing. Yeah.
So tell me, what one piece of advice would you give a woman business owner?
A woman business owner. Mm-hmm. Okay. Join a network, because I think that, and that can be online, because I don't have any, speech recognition experts are not,
there aren't a bunch of them
common.
Right.
So, but I've found like-minded souls in the Screw the 9 to 5 community. That's great, and there are other communities online, but also just simply a local business club. I would do that definitely, because if you're a solo entrepreneur, then it tends to get a bit lonely otherwise.
Well, that's actually one of the reasons I started the podcast, was that I felt like so many days I spend time behind my computer by myself, and that I was really starting to feel like I was in a rut. And so this was my opportunity to get to sit and hear stories firsthand from all these amazing business owners all over the world. So, I completely agree. So tell me, where can our audience find you?
So I've got a website. It won't surprise you. It's at learndragononline.com.
Okay, so wonderful.
That's the best place. I also have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com, or another group, a page, facebook.com/learndragononline.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we will include links to all that on the show notes. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And we will see you soon.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Okay. Today we talked about your ideal client and list building. If you would like our free checklist on how to grow your list to have more clients and increase your sales, go to our website in the show notes at lemonadepodcast.com.
Thank you for listening to Turning Lemons into Lemonade, where women go for support and encouragement to hear how other women business owners turn their setbacks into successes to create 6- and 7-figure businesses. We look forward to seeing you next week.